We have a drink, and so should you. Let's get back to Mike's Happy Hour Show with Mike and Hellcat.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us. I've got a really special guest that I've been wanting to talk to. His name is Scott Markowitz with Markowitz Law Firm. He specializes in ticket eradication, and I know you guys have seen my post online on Facebook, and you can find all their information on Facebook. They've got a lot of people that they help. If you've got traffic tickets, and whether you're a CDL driver, a professional driver, or whether you're just a consumer that got pulled over and you're pissed off and you're going to have to pay a bunch of fines, you're going to have to get your insurance go up, or you're going to have to go to these endless classes to get the ticket dismissed, we've got a simple, affordable solution for you. And 9 times out of 10, you don't even have to go to court. So, Scott, I appreciate you spending some time with me today. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while.
That's good to be with you, Mike. Thank you for having me.
You must be like the ultimate pain in the ass for cops, right?
I try to be.
They go through all that trouble, pulling you over, going through the drama, eating up like 45 minutes of your time to give you a ticket to make your future miserable.
That's it.
I'm sure you get invited to all the Christmas parties.
Well, I have been invited to a few, but I don't do funerals, golf tournaments, or Christmas parties.
Okay, so I want to talk about, why you're a full-fledged attorney. You've been doing, how long have you been practicing?
It's been 29 years.
Out of all the legal options you have, litigation, all these things, why the hell do you specialize in tickets?
Because it was way more fun than the other things.
Well, you are definitely passionate about it. And, one of the things I like to do is my show's focused on horror stories that have good endings, right?
Right.
Which is why I've been dying to talk to you about this. A lot of people don't really understand. They don't think about, when they get a ticket, they don't think about calling a lawyer that specializes in it to make it go away. They think about defensive driving. They think about just going down and paying it and just dealing with it. But there's huge downsides to those options. And I want to explore that with you, because most people think attorneys are out of their reach and extremely expensive. Can you give us some insight as to,
Sure.
I just got a ticket, and we'll deal on the low side. I was speeding, 75 and a 55, and fines are probably going to be around $275 or something like that. So why would I call you to make that go away?
Well, let me say one thing. We have had enormous numbers of people moving here from other states. I think the number one state's California. A lot of other people from other states are moving here. And unless you have been raised in Texas, you probably don't realize that we're one of the few states that you can actually contest a ticket. You're entitled to a jury trial. In other words, it's treated just like any other criminal case, and that is a big deal. You can fight your ticket in Texas, and in many places it's just administrative. They point the finger, you pay the money. Here, they got to go through hell, and when I say go through hell, that means go through me.
Well, one of the things I love is your motto. You actually wear shirts that have Q, Q, Q on them. And that means quash, quash, quash. Means, see ya. Thanks for your time. I know you didn't really mean to write the ticket. And if you want to send me an apology, I'll give you my address.
Yeah, I've asked for a few apologies before.
Well, there's some crazy situations that, in terms of how you actually get some of these people out. I mean, it's not as simple as just showing up in court, which there are a lot of attorneys that try to do that. But there's all kinds of different ways that that you go at getting those things dismissed. You were telling me the other day about you had a person had gotten a ticket. I think they were driving like 96 in a 35 or something like that, and you actually pulled the video from the cop's camera and watched it, and he screwed up by telling him he was going 35 in a 96.
Well, you got two stories mixed up there.
Oh, okay, okay.
And that's okay. But what the video showed was the officer came up to the driver and said, I'll stop you. Let me see your license and insurance. And, of course, my client gave him the license and insurance, and the officer proceeded to tell him on video that he was going, I think it was 92 and a 55, but then went back to his car, forgot what he said, and wrote him for 96.
Oh, he wrote it differently.
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
and let me say, when you accuse, you got to prove. And the prosecutor has to prove what they plead, and they pled, of course, 96. So that case went bye-bye.
Well, I mean, the fact that you would go to that length to get that ticket dismissed is what's amazing to me. I don't think anybody would believe that that would even be part of the process. But your intent is to win by all means necessary.
I wouldn't go quite that far, Mike. I mean, there is a limit. But I will say that resistance meets resistance. And in a court of law, if I'm faced with a situation where a judge is saying no, a prosecutor saying no, and a police officer saying no, I'm going to find a way.
Okay, this brings up a perfect opportunity to talk about the situation with the realtor that was going through the school district. And
oh, yeah.
The school district or the police officer claimed that the school district was open till 5:30 in their school zone. Tell us how you got that person out of that ticket.
Well, that was an interesting case. That was one of those no situations. It was not going to come out good. I reset the case after a couple of times because I had not found the key. And I decided to go out and investigate the scene. Now, that's not something I do on most traffic tickets. I mean, going out to the location is time consuming. And not to mention, I'm running around from court to court every day anyway. So, that's an extraordinary event. But I did. And I took a partner with me with a tape measure, and we started measuring the signs. And
the signs that post the speed limits?
Yes. Well, we not only measured them, but we took pictures with the measuring tape. And when I took it to court next time, I showed the prosecutor that these signs were posted several inches below the minimum height. And that case went bye-bye.
Oh my God, that is crazy. So the commercial drivers, I mean, while our insurance, when we get tickets as individuals, our insurance goes up. It's just horrific.
Yes.
Or you got to go through these damn defensive driving classes that last for like 6 hours. And, the cost, what I'm fascinated with is if they knew the cost of engaging you and making it go away versus going through all this other crap, it's a no-brainer. So if somebody's got a ticket for, say, $275 for speeding, right? Give me like a comparison to just paying it or going through defensive driving or hiring you to do it.
Okay, well, if the premise is the fine is $270, let's say it's an average speeding ticket, and that's about right. A person that is not a commercial driver could, of course, opt to take the defensive driving course if they've not taken it in the past year. They've got to hold a valid driver's license, and they have to have valid auto insurance in their name. So that knocks out some people right there. But if you qualify, you can do it once a year. It's going to cost you at least 1, perhaps 2 trips to the courthouse. That's going to take an hour of your time each way. And it's going to take you 6 hours to take the course. Financially, all of the different expenses, court cost of the driving record, cost of taking the course online is going to be about $180. So there you have it. Defensive driving is about $180 in 6 to 8 hours of your time.
Or paying the $270 fine. So there's a third option, and that's just engaging you to go make that shit go away.
That's right. And that's typically going to cost $135, sometimes slightly more if it's an enhanced speed, like a really high speed. But, typically $135 is the legal fee.
That is a no-brainer.
Well, there are circumstances where I will tell a prospective client they ought to do defensive driving, and I won't go into all those details, but let me tell you, I do turn away business. There are times when they're young drivers, under the circumstances, maybe the particular court that they happen to have gotten into, they've drawn a bad card. I might tell them just to go do defensive driving and call me the next time, because chances are there's going to be a next time.
Okay, so what does it cost them to call you and find out?
Zero.
So, free consultation.
Yeah, it's free.
Simple phone call. You can call them at 713-521-7568. 713-521-7568. And if you're on Facebook, it's easy to find him. They've got a good presence there. Or you can just go to Michael Landry Facebook, and you can find their stuff there.
And let me interrupt you, Mike. There's a lot of competition in my business, and many of them are good lawyers. But I don't think most of them spend the kind of time that I do on the phone. I talk to each and every single client, without exception. The consultation is with me, the attorney, not a clerk, not a secretary, not a legal assistant. It's with me. And that makes a big difference, because those initial notes, my conversation with you, often yield little glimmers of hope.
Well, I post your stories because it's really kind of fascinating, the links that you will go to achieve a win and to properly represent every avenue possible to quash those tickets, And, these professional drivers that are doing this for a living, their jobs depend on it. The employer's insurance based on their driving record impacts the company's price to hire them and employ them, impacts the liability, which is massive for the company, especially if they're in the transportation business.
Yes.
So give me some examples of what you now I had mentioned the driver that had those huge fines. Can you give us some examples of that?
Yeah. The most common commercial tickets that we see are overweight tickets. And really not surprising. For those of you who have not been in transportation business or know a trucker or have any experience in it, the state of Texas and most states have laws that regulate the weight, the maximum weight of a vehicle. Mm-hmm. Not just the gross overall weight, but the weight on a particular axle or a group of axles. And these are couched in terms of preserving our roadways from damage. That's a lofty goal, and we can all understand why some bad actors may want to add more freight, right? Well, those are very expensive tickets. I mean, at a minimum, they're $500, and they go all the way to $10,000.
Oh my God!
So hitting a driver that's driving a dump truck or a gravel hauler with a $10,000 fine is almost unconscionable.
Oh, man, $10,000 out of your bank account?
Some of these guys,
that's huge.
They're making that, would take them 3 months of work to make that.
I'd have to give up my pedicure, my nails, my pedicure, and my boat outings all in the same day.
Well, you don't want to do that, because I can see your toes and they're pretty.
Oh, I got me a good pedicure. So if that situation exists, or in past situations that you've represented those clients, what are a couple of outcomes that you've created?
Well, a lot of times the weight tickets can be successfully negotiated to stay off of their driving record. And there's a whole slew, hundreds and hundreds of other violations that are, we might consider non-moving violations, like equipment violations, not keeping one's logbook, not having their medical certificate in the cab, forgetting to refill the fire extinguisher after their last cigarette fire in the cab, who knows? But the point is that these commercial drivers have no choice to pay the ticket or fight the ticket. They cannot do defensive driving, and in most circumstances can't do probation, deferred adjudication, a pretrial diversion, or any other program that might get them dismissed.
Wow.
And so they're backed into a corner. Most of them end up paying the tickets, and in fact, most drivers' companies just pay the tickets.
Yeah.
It's cost of doing business.
Wow.
A lot of these drivers are disposable. They're coming into business. They drive until they can't drive them anymore. They get too many tickets and they hire a new guy.
Wow.
So this has created some problems nationally. There's a debate going on about, are we regulating too much? Is it costing the trucking industry too much? And there's even some, some conspiracy theorists that think that the big trucking companies are behind all of this.
Well, I don't know if this is true, but I heard from a bird that the insurance companies pay for all the R&D for the upgraded radars for the cops every year.
I don't know anything about that.
Your eyes are lying.
Yeah, but
you won't talk about it. That's all right.
I haven't met the same bird.
I don't know. It seemed like a pretty damn intelligent bird to me.
Might have been.
Scott Markowitz, Markowitz Law Firm specializes in this, and I try to provide posts and interactions with entities or companies that actually solve problems for people. I was a builder for 22 years, and it's a nightmare industry. You look at three guys and you think they're all the same, but they're not remotely the same. And it's really hard to articulate that value to a consumer. And, so I'd like to help people reduce their misery, that life creates. And this is just one of those things that's just a simple no-brainer decision. And he's got a great personality, but I've never seen anybody more committed to winning. And that's what I really like about him. And that's why I share those stories, because you just don't hear that stuff, out there. So his name is Scott Markowitz. You can find him at Markowitz Law Firm. You can find him on Facebook at Markowitz Law Firm, or you can call him at 713-521-7568. 713-521-7568. Scott, let me ask you a question. What do you find people to be most reluctant to talk to you, just to explore the possibility of what you can do for them? Do you find the reluctance there?
I do from time to time, especially with people who do not get tickets very often. Some of them feel embarrassed, especially some women feel really embarrassed that they got the ticket. Certainly juveniles who are in their first or second year of driving, hell, they don't even want to tell their parents, much less an attorney. But once they get to their parents, it's the parents who are calling me.
Yeah.
Now, occasionally I'll get a juvenile that's, resourceful and will find me first and ask me how to tell their parents.
That's impressive. So the funny thing about women being embarrassed about getting a ticket, I mean, my girlfriend got one, and she went and paid it 3 or 4 months ago. I wasn't dating her at the time. She just told me that. And I said, well, did you ever think about calling a lawyer to get it? I didn't even know they existed.
That's very common.
had no idea that these guys existed.
Very common. I could put a billboard on almost any roadway in this town and say, got a ticket, hire a lawyer. And the response from a lot of people will be, I didn't know that you could even do that.
Well, and I'm telling you, a lot of people have a fear that they talk to an attorney and it just costs fortunes.
Well, no, that's just not true in this business. This is a free consult. I enjoy talking to people and getting their story. Hell, that's been our motto, tell us your story is part of our mantra. I want to know that story because that helps me help you get it dismissed.
That one of the stories I recently posted that I believe is a new client of yours. He posted on Facebook. He goes, man, I don't know how this happened, but I've got 2 tickets over the last 3 weeks. It's driving me crazy. I've always had a great driving record. I'm really pissed about this. He said, I'm calling this guy, and or he called you, and he said, I'm going to get this guy to make this go away. He said, this guy's cheap.
Yeah, it just depends. From person to person, that can vary. The reaction varies. And our prices do fluctuate in the market. We have some lawyers that are volume lawyers, and they charge a little bit of money so they can have the most clients, and I'm the opposite of that. But the prices, are pretty much capped at what is reasonable. If a ticket is $270, I can't charge $300, right?
Right.
I mean, I've got to keep it reasonable. And I would say that in traffic ticket defense, it is the most affordable legal service I think that you could find in any sector.
You got to be kidding me. $135 for a professional attorney that specializes to go to court and make it go away.
That's
and
right.
These cheap ticket lawyers, they're not going to go to the links that you go, looking at the videos and all the other stuff to defend the client.
Well, in their defense, they can't. They just have too many cases. I made a decision early in my career, perhaps around year 5 or 6.
Out of 29.
That I wanted a smaller practice, not a ticket mill.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with having a ticket mill, except that for me, it wouldn't provide me with the satisfaction, with the job satisfaction. And I committed to this a long time ago, just like with marriage. You get into it, you stick with it. And when I made the decision to go into the traffic ticket business, it was for life. I've never thought about leaving this business.
But one other really cool thing is that you're local. You're local to League City, Pearland, Kemah, Clear Lake. You're local to this region in this area. And that's one of the things that a lot of my followers, which pretty much live in this region, in the Galveston, Clear Lake region, prefer to do business with locals.
Right. Well, and I am local now. I used to be in the Galleria, but I was still local to League City because I took cases in Galveston County from the beginning. So I still, to this day, cover several counties: Galveston County, Harris, Fort Bend, and Brazoria. Virtually, with very few exceptions, I cover all of the justice of the peace courts, all of the municipal courts in those counties. And if you should happen to have a ticket in another county, feel free to call me because I'll make a free referral to somebody that can help you. And in some circumstances, I can help you, even if it's a long way away. The one restriction is I'm licensed in Texas. I'm not licensed in Louisiana, Oklahoma, Colorado, or any other state. I'm going to have to find you a lawyer in those states.
All right, Scott Markowitz. Don't forget it. You're going to need it if you don't need it now.
Hell, Markowitz. It rhymes with tickets. How could you forget it?
Markowitz Law Firm. You can call them right now at 713-521-7568, 713-521-7568, or just go on Facebook. You can find him there, Markowitz Law Firm, or go to my Facebook and check them out. I've got stories on there. You can read about all these crazy things. I post them every week. I love this guy. He's awesome. Give him a call. He'll make your shit go away.
Okay, now I've had enough fun for one day.
Thanks for hanging with us on Mike's Happy Hour Show.
Bye. I hope you liked it.
See you next week.